Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the NBA is on the way. We only got a few more weeks until teams start tipping off. I definitely got to come in here and give my predictions of who I think is going to be the contending teams, what teams that I think are going to make the play-in, and the other teams where, like, I don't know what they're going to be doing. All right, y'all, so this video is going to be about me making bold predictions on who's going to make it to the championship, like actually contending for a title, who's going to be making it to the playoffs, who's going to be the play-in teams that could, like, swoop in and steal that 8th and that 7th seed, who knows, and what teams are going to be, maybe they could try again next year. And then the last section would be the teams that are going to be in a bind for the next few years. Basically, me saying I don't know what the hell they're doing as an organization. I don't see the light of the end of the tunnel in no way, shape, or form. So let's go ahead and just get started. Let's address the elephant in the room. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to be super slutty this year. Not only that, they have my guy Damian Lillard, my favorite PG of all time, my favorite player of all time, excuse me. All right, but
I mean, it's gonna be a nasty pick and roll with Giannis.
And then you got, Brook Lopez to worry about. Then you got Chris Middleton. I think Chris is gonna be the determined factor of if they get that first seed or if they make it all the way. I think he's gonna have to play like 2021 Chris Middleton. Okay, if they could keep everybody healthy, right? This is gonna be a tough team to stop. All right, so let me go ahead and just put the Bucks up there. Who'll be competing for the title. The next team that I believe, I'm gonna go ahead and put the Nuggets up there. They didn't get better at all, but I do believe that Christian Brown, they really believe in him. They think that he could be the next Bruce Brown that they lost to the Indiana Pacers. But I like Chris, man. My only concern is the bench, man. I don't think they have a lot of depth, but they still got the same core guys. And you got Joker, dude. Like, I mean, he's literally the best center on the planet, if not the best player on the planet. Him next to Giannis, that could be debatable. But as long as you got Joker, man, you got a shot. And if Michael Porter could, deliver a little bit more from what he did last year, they looking real good. So definitely got to put the Nuggets on the competing for a championship. I got two teams next. I'm gonna put the Lakers as they will be competing for a championship title. They've added a lot of good pieces this summer. You can go ahead and take a look at the roster. I'll read that off for you. They actually gotten better as far as wings, as far as guys that are, that are able to get their own buckets, such as Gabe Vincent and Taurean Prince, and then you got Christian Wood adding on, and then and Cam Reddish. Those are a lot of guys that got a lot of wingspan on them. You know what I mean? And you need wings in order to win basketball games. And then them keeping Jarrett Vanderbilt. This is gonna be a team to look after. Of course, if AD stays healthy, if he can give me 65 games and then play the rest of the playoff series, the West is gonna have a problem, right? That's just my opinion, but I do think this team is going for it this year. I don't know when Bron's gonna retire, but for sure, the Lakers will be contending for a championship title, at least in my opinion. And the last team I'm gonna say, and people might fight me on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna put the Boston Celtics as a championship contender. Them adding Drew Holiday is an extreme upgrade from Marcus Smart. I mean, now we're looking at, can Drew Holiday be that leader, right? Because I don't think, even though Jason Tatum is excellent, Jaylen Brown is excellent, those guys are great basketball players, I just think they're looking for that veteran point guard to take them and propel them into making better plays, right? And since Drew Holiday has that experience of getting a championship, he has the ability to lock down guards and small forwards, right? Adding him to this team, it's gonna be some trouble for Milwaukee. I ain't gonna hold you. Now, my chips is all in on Milwaukee, but I have to say, the Boston Celtics, them adding on to to what they already have, and then Porzingis, the 7'3" unicorn, they actually have a shot. They just need to make sure, I think they need to change their bench a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be dishing out Peyton Pritchard or dishing out guys like Wenyen Gabriel, but they just got him in the offseason, so I'm not sure. But for what I see, they have a legitimate shot. Those are my 4 teams. You got the Bucks, you got the Nuggets, you got the Lakers, and then the Celtics. Those are the teams I'm banking on making it to the finals. Now we're going to go to the next section, which will be they will absolutely make it to the playoffs. And of course, the first team I'm going to put up is the Phoenix Suns. All right. Now, I don't know about this team because of the lack of depth. Sure, they have KD. Sure, they have Devin Booker. Sure, they have Bradley Beal. But I do like Nurk. I think Nurk is going to show that he's one of the better passing big men in this league. But let me go ahead and take a look at this roster. I mean, how many of y'all believe in Bol Bol? And I feel like this is his last hoorah as far as like making a name for himself in the league. I know people gave him a lot of hype when he came into the league, but he's also still 23, right? He's still 23, so I'm not going to be that guy. But they have some veteran guys. I just don't see their bench staying healthy. Like guys like Eric Gordon, I'm not sure. Keon Johnson, I'm not sure. Who else besides Bol Bol? He's gonna be on the bench, right? I just don't. Oh, Grayson Allen, right? I just don't see them getting over that hump. But again, you got like 3 or 4 dog scores, right? I just want to see how they're gonna adjust on who's gonna be the guy making these, fourth quarter shots. Where do you give it to KD or do you give it to Devin Booker because it's his team? Do you give it to Bradley Beal because he is familiar with being in those type of situations? There's just a lot of guys that need the ball in their hands, and I don't know how that's going to work going forward. But I do have them making the playoffs for sure. All right, so the next team I will be putting in that they will absolutely make the playoffs is the Warriors. They did add a Chris Paul over this past offseason. If he can give a little bit more as far as his knowledge on the game and him being healthy, man, like that's gonna be the biggest thing. But I feel like if Klay makes a jump and be who he was, sure. But they will absolutely make the playoffs. The next team I'm gonna put up is the Los Angeles Clippers. Now I don't think that their team is all that great, but they do have a lot of pieces to make some trades in the trade deadline. And the pieces that I'm referring to is you got guys like Robert Covington. You got guys like Terrence Mann. He's been in the trade rumors for a while. They did pick up Kenyon Martin Jr. Just an interesting pickup. So I'm assuming they're going to be getting rid of at least one of those guys. You got Mason Plumlee. You got Norman Powell. Norman Powell is a good pickup to trade with different teams to get you over that hump. But for the most part, they're pretty much set on them making some type of a run. And this is a dark horse team, right? Like Kawhi didn't play a lot last year, but I think once he comes back this year after his firmware update, I think he's gonna, make a lot of noise this season, and hopefully him and Paul George could, stay healthy and make a nice good run in the playoffs. The next team is the 76ers. Gotta throw them up there. I'm not sure what they're doing with James Harden. Is James Harden gonna actually play? I'm not. I don't know what that guy's doing, man. But maybe the 76ers and the Clippers can make something shake, put James Harden on the Clippers, and then maybe they get back a Robert Covington, a Terrence Mann and some picks. Maybe, right? Maybe. Or is that enough? Y'all let me know in the comment section below, but definitely the 76ers, I believe they will be in the playoffs. Next, we're going to put in the Brooklyn Nets. This is going to be a sleeper team for the East, man. Mikal Bridges, definitely super solid. Cameron Johnson. They still got Nick Claxton. They still got Dorian Finney-Smith. They got Spencer Dinwiddie. They just got to figure out the chemistry. And they still got Ben Simmons, too. Don't sleep on Ben. I think Ben is definitely going to make some noise if he can play, which I think he can, right? I just think he was going through that case where, his back was hurting. my back, I can't play. So now since he won that case, he can go in and ball out in Brooklyn. So definitely they will be making it to the playoffs. The next team I got is the Indiana Pacers, man. Halliburton, Miles Turner, they picked up Bruce Brown. Ooh. Now, Bruce Brown is a sleeper, man. I love players like that. Gritty, does his job, makes sure he knows where to be as a basketball player, right? Like, you need guys like that on your team. Buddy Hield is another one. Benedict Mathurin is another guy. Now, will they make a crazy stretch? In no way, shape, or form, I don't think that. But them making some noise, maybe possibly knocking down a shocking team, maybe, right? But definitely I got the Pacers in there. Next team will be the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know what happened last year in the playoffs, man. They played against the Knicks and they just did not look good. So I'm hoping that Evan Mobley would figure it out, get it together. Jared Allen, I do like him. I just think maybe they should try to shop him and, get a power forward guy that's a little bit more of a hybrid defender. But I like Jared Allen. I just think not for this particular team. But I got them making it to the playoffs. Of course, Donovan Mitchell's going to do his thing, and Darius Garland, all those guys. But they need guys that could, defend and shoot. And I felt like they could get that with Karis LeVert, but I just don't think Karis is the guy, right? But we'll see. Got to make in the playoffs, though. But we'll definitely see. The next team I'm going to put up here would be the Memphis Grizzlies. That will be making it to the playoffs. Even though Ja Morant he's suspended for 25 games or something like that. I think Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane, they'll hold it down until then. Because they've been playing well without Ja Morant for a long time. Which is very, very interesting to me. They could possibly steal like top 3, top 4, right? They just got to get the chemistry together. But I am going to put the Grizzlies up here for now, all right? Next team, Sacramento Kings, of course. Do I think they'll have an incredible season like they did last year? I do not, unfortunately, because the West just got better, obviously. But they got a lot of good stuff. They didn't do any change. They didn't do a lot of changes last year. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because you got a young core. You just got to figure out the minutes, right? And can you get better by making some trades during the deadline? But they'll make it to the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to be what seed was they? I can't remember. But that's neither here or there. We're going to be moving on. The last team that I think that will make it into the playoffs here, and people might fight me on it, but dude, you just haven't been watching basketball. And I'm going to put the OKC Thunder in the playoffs. And here's why. I watched Chet Holmgren play against Wemby, and that was a game. If you missed it, I'm sorry, you missed a real good treat. But I think they have a lot of...
Their bench is deep, yo. Like...
If you just go ahead and just read it off here, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Josh Giddey, you got Jalen Williams, you got Lou Dort, you got Chet, which I just mentioned. Isaiah Joe, I really like him. If you haven't seen his game, definitely go and check that out. And they're young too, right? Trey Mann is another one. He jigs, all right? They have a lot of pieces to move them forward in making the play. The last year they didn't make it because they had to do the playing games and they were 10th, I believe. But that's because they didn't have Chet in the mix here. So I do believe the OKC Thunder will actually make the playoffs. Even if they have to play a play-in team, I think they're going to get them out the way. And yeah, so that's for sure my teams on who I believe will absolutely be in the playoffs. You got the Bucks, you got the Nuggets, you got the Lakers, you got the Celtics, you got the Suns, you got the Warriors, you got the Clippers, the 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Pacers, Cavaliers, Memphis Grizzlies, Sacramento Kings, and OKC. All right, so now we're going to get into the play-in team. Now, these are the teams that I think that if they get that 9th or they get that 10th, they could possibly make a little noise. And the first team that I'm going to put up here is the Utah Jazz. All right? The Utah Jazz, they're probably the most interesting team in the NBA to me by far, because they got a lot of tall guys, defending guys that can shoot, and smart basketball players like Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, Horton Tucker, Kelly Olynyk, Walker Kessler. I think they do need to upgrade the PG position, which is Colin Sexton. But if Colin comes out here like a real point guard, I don't know. But they got a lot of stuff over there as far as figuring out who's going to be the core for the next coming years. So definitely, I got the Jazz being a play-in team. The second team that I'm going to put up here are the Mavericks. I don't think the Mavericks gotten better. I think they actually gotten worse. When they lost Christian Wood, which was silly, I don't know what happened there, who dropped the ball, but I don't think they have enough, dude. I mean, they have, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, they picked up Grant Williams. Who else after that? You got Max Kleber? What are we talking about? Dwight Powell? He's going to be playing center? They don't have a lot of guys that can defend. I mean, they picked up Derrick Jones over the summer. I think they gotten worse. I don't know. They might be 9th or they might be 10th. We'll see going forward. The next team that I'm going to put up here are the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know what they're doing over there. I think after they made the trade for DeJounte Murray and they thought they were going to be make this big splash in the East, and then things kind of fell off after that. I don't know what they're doing over there. So I'm definitely going to put the Atlanta Hawks in that category. The next team I'm going to put up is the New York Knicks. This is another team that didn't really necessarily get better. They got guys that I like over there. Josh Hart, he's pretty good. Jalen Brunson's been going crazy. Julius Randle. Is the Knicks good enough to make some noise? Don't think so. I'm just going to leave that there. Miami Heat is another play-in team to me. Not to say that they're ass, right? They definitely did something last year, made it to the they made it to the finals. But I think this year it's kind of a stretch. They lost a lot of people. They lost Gabe Vincent. I don't think they have Max Strus anymore. They lost a lot of depth. So I'm not sure if I could put them into like a playoff team, but I mean, since they were a playoff team, a play-in team last year, I mean, needless to say, they still got Jimmy Butler, the next coming to Michael fucking Jordan. So I gotta put them at least in the play-in. All right, so those are my play-in teams right there. If I had to put one more in, I'm gonna put, it's between the Pelicans and the Timberwolves, but if I had to, I'm probably gonna go with the Timberwolves as being a play-in team. I think Anthony Edwards is gonna make a lot of noise. They gotta do something with Rudy Gobert. I don't know what they were thinking when they made a trade for them and gave away all those assets, but they're hurting right now. And I think, I could put them in to maybe try again next year, but they could make a trade deadline move to make that extra push. So I am gonna put them in as a play-in team. Now, last two categories, but the first one coming up, maybe they can try again next year. And this means it's hopeful. It's hopeful for them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the Houston Rockets up here, man. Udoka being the coach, they got Fred VanVleet. They just picked up Dylan Brooks. It was a great pickup, and they got a lot of young pieces over there. They could possibly do some real numbers. Jabari Smith, and then Thompson picked him up. Reggie Bullock, even though he's not an incredible, defender, he is a knockdown shooter. I like guys like Reggie Bullock. They just got to figure out what's going to be the scheme, and I think they'll be fine. Of course, Jalen Green would be, I feel, the face of the franchise going forward. But for sure, next year, I'll have my eyes on them. Now we're going to put in the Pelicans. Some people might argue, man, why you ain't put them in as a play-in team? Dude, I don't know what Zion is doing, and I don't believe in Brandon Ingram too much. Is he a talented shooter? Sure, by all means. But I just don't see them doing anything, man. Like, I'm just kind of waiting to see if it gets better. But it feels like it's getting worse. I mean, we can go ahead and take a look at the roster really fast. Maybe Trey Murphy could, take a step further, right? Maybe we got CJ McCollum might take that step forward, but I just think the West is too deep for them to really like get in a groove and possibly change my mind. Because if Zion is not playing and he can't keep his weight in a particular order, it's gonna be tough in the West. Zion has to play. One of the most dominant players on this team. If he's playing 20 games and then miss 30 and then comes back, plays 15 and then miss the rest of the season and then try to come back into the playoffs, you're messing up the chemistry and the vibe of the team. And for that, I gotta go with them. Maybe they can try again next year, right? Maybe. And it's between Minnesota. It's very close. It's just a hair close between the Timberwolves and the Pelicans being in that same slot. If I had to choose one, I'm putting the Pelicans up there. All right, the next team that I think they could try again next year is the Charlotte Hornets. Them picking up Brandon Miller. They got LaMelo Ball, and they got Miles Bridges back. Maybe. I think they got a lot of guys. Just need to still figure out the bench a little bit. The next team I'm gonna be putting up is the Chicago Bulls. All right, they don't have any guys. I don't even see a leader of this team. Who
is the leader? DeMar DeRozan? Can we say DeMar DeRozan?
Or is it Zach LaVine? They have a lot. They have an identity crisis over there. All right, so the rest of the teams, they're going to be in a bind for the next few years. All right, and the last section we're going to talk about is the teams that are going to be figuring out for the next few years, which will be the Orlando Magic, the Toronto Raptors, the Portland Trail Blazers, the San Antonio Spurs, the Detroit Pistons, and the Washington Wizards. And I'm going to start with Orlando. I do like Paolo Banchero, but they just need to figure out who's going to be the second guy on that team and then fill out the roster. But, you know, we'll see what they do there. I do like Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony. He's a guy over there. And I can't remember the tall, I think he might be like 6'8", 6'7" shooting guard. I can't forget his name. Y'all let me know in the comments section below. I do like what they're building. I just think that is probably not going to happen into another couple of years. The Toronto Raptors, I thought they were going to make some changes this year as far as like shipping out OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. That did not happen, but I don't know if it's enough to get over the hump. They do have Scotty Barnes, great pickup. Again, I just don't think they'll be doing anything for the next couple of years. The Portland Trail Blazers, man, is still my team, you know what I mean? I just didn't like the fact that they just kind of kicked Damian to the curb and kind of just gave Scoot the keys. I understand they do want to do rebuild and things like that, but I think their best shot was trying to build around Damian. And since they kind of shuffled up all the cards and they have new faces and new rookie players, I just don't think they'll be making any noise anytime soon. The San Antonio Spurs, they do have Wemby. They do have Keldon Johnson. They do have some core pieces. They just don't have that other superstar player. And maybe they could find one of those. Maybe it is Keldon Johnson in the near future. There are a bunch of young guys that's eager and ready to go. I just don't think they'll be figuring out anytime soon. The Detroit Pistons, I have no idea what they're doing. But they got guys. They just, again, we shall see, right? Don't see them doing anything. And then the Washington Wizards, I could put them in, maybe they can try for next year, but Kyle Kuzma is not necessarily a good defender, and Jordan Poole is not necessarily a good defender. Ty Jones was a great pickup for them. They don't have like a big that can actually, protect the paint enough for me. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Who do y'all think will be in the championship, or the NBA finals I should say, and who's gonna be your contenders? I would love to see y'all list in the comment section below. With that being said, let me know how I did, man. Your boy is out. Peace.